There are certain intrusive thoughts you get when you have OCD that are embarrassing, and then there are others that make you think you're going insane. Violent or harm obsessions are obsessions one gets that are about harming another person. There are also intrusive thoughts some people get about self-harming, but I'll talk about those in another video. These harm thoughts can be any violent image or thought or urge that one gets about hurting another person. However, the people who get these thoughts would never do anything like that. They could be triggered by strangers or a family member, and a lot of times they'll come up for a person when they're alone and not thinking about anything. This is why a lot of people with harm thoughts start secluding themselves from their family members and people that they love, and also avoid spending time alone. Not a lot of people even know what harm thoughts really are, and a lot of even professionals misdiagnose harm thoughts. There are a lot of different kinds of thoughts a person can get when they have harm thoughts, so I'm going to put them all up on the screen, all the ones that my source gave me, and I'm also going to say a few of them out loud. Fear of grabbing a nearby policeman's gun and shooting someone. Fear of choking your baby or partner to death. Fear of snapping your child or pet's neck. Fear of intentionally poisoning someone. Fear of hitting, striking, or beating someone to death. Fear of smothering your baby or partner while they're sleeping. Fear of drowning your child while swimming or while giving him or her a bath. This is also part of postpartum OCD. Fear of sideswiping and killing a pedestrian or cyclist while you're driving. And fear of putting your baby or pet into an oven, microwave, washing machine, or clothes dryer. Much like with sexual obsessions, people with harm thoughts tend to be afraid of acting on an unwanted impulse. Other times a person may feel very guilty or horrified that they cannot control their thoughts. Some people have the OCD symptom that they think their thoughts are actually memories and it actually occurred in the past, and those people will often do checking compulsions to make sure that nothing bad happened. Other compulsions include, but are not limited to, checking written items to see if you accidentally wrote out your bad thought or to make sure you haven't written out a confession, monitoring the news to make sure a violent crime hasn't occurred nearby, revisiting locations to make sure that nothing bad had happened, trying to convince yourself that you would never act on your thoughts, reviewing your past to see if you're capable of murder, asking other people for reassurance that you're a good person, mental rituals involving figuring out, undoing, resetting, or trying to clean your mental slate, analyzing your thoughts to determine if they reflect the real you, trying not to think unwanted thoughts, holding on to things to make sure that your hands don't perform an unwanted act, praying rituals designed to keep you from acting on an unwanted thought or asking for forgiveness, neutralizing unwanted thoughts or images by mentally flipping them upside down, replaying them backwards, or converting them into something good. Another type of compulsion for harm OCD is an avoidance behavior. Once again, there are a lot, so I'm going to read a few and put the rest on the screen. Removing all weapons from the house, sharp items, blunt objects, poisonous chemicals, ropes, guns, etc. Over-controlling your body, keeping overly rigid when around others, keeping your hands in your pockets or keeping them far away from other people, delegating cooking or food preparation responsibilities to others, avoidance of sex, intimacy, and other situations involving physical vulnerability, avoidance of child care responsibilities, avoidance of being alone with children, pets, the elderly, or other vulnerable populations, avoidance of television shows or newspaper stories featuring violent themes, avoidance of the police and other security personnel, avoidance of physical contact with others, especially the neck area, avoiding hugs and neck rubs, avoidance of scary/horror movies, avoidance of church and confession, or may have rituals involving compulsive prayer or confession, and avoiding sharp objects. A lot of people with harm thoughts believe that their thoughts must be true and that they're actually a serial killer, but I'm here to tell you that is not true. Thoughts mean nothing about a person, nothing at all. And from my own experience, people I've met with harm thoughts are the nicest people, and the fact that they're so terrified of their thoughts really attests to that. My source brings up that people with harm thoughts could be so nice because OCD tends to hurt people and hit people where they're the most vulnerable or in the things that they love. It makes sense that if you think of yourself as a moral person and you love doing good things for others, that OCD will give you thoughts about doing the opposite. I first got diagnosed with OCD because of my violent obsessions, and I will link to all my videos where I talk about that either on the page right now or at the end screen. I remember thinking I was crazy and wondering if I was schizophrenic, and I remember hating downtime, because downtime was a time where I had nothing to think about and I just was alone with my thoughts. I would scream and cry like every time I got a thought, which is pretty much constantly. And then I ended up starting to pinch myself and bang my head against the wall just because it would break up the thoughts. It is torture having harm OCD. At first, I didn't want to tell anyone about my thoughts because I thought I was crazy, so obviously they would think I was crazy too. But eventually, I got up the courage to tell because they got so bad. When I told my therapist about my thoughts, which were at the time mostly about stabbing, she said, well, it looks like you're afraid of having someone stab you in the back. It's not her fault. She was a psychoanalytic therapist. However, she recognized the seriousness of the situation and told me to go see my doctor, who told me to go to the ER, who told me to go into a mental hospital. Now, this part is a little fuzzy for me because I don't remember if I was exactly suicidal or if I was having obsessions about suicide, but apparently the nurses and doctors at the ER thought I was suicidal, so they put me into the mental hospital. I speak about my experience at the mental hospital in my video about it, which I will link somewhere. I don't remember much about my specific harm thoughts, but I remember a lot of them had to do with stabbing, and that some of them would just be about people like eating me, just like taking a chunk out of my leg like I'm a chicken or something. So that was a little weird. But a lot of my thoughts were about other people doing things to me rather than me doing things to other people, and I wanted to include more about that in this video, but I really couldn't find anything about it. I know it's OCD though, so if you guys have thoughts about other people doing things to you, let me know, because I feel like I'm alone with that now when I couldn't find anything. But yeah, that is equally as debilitating because you're just like afraid of everyone around you. I'm making this video today because my experience with harm thoughts was a very dark time for me, and I want you all to know that you're not alone and that OCD is very manageable, if not beatable, if you have the right tools. If you want to know how you can beat OCD, check out my video that I will link on the end screen. I know a lot of end screen videos today, called ERP Therapy. That will teach you about the basics of ERP therapy. And hopefully I'll soon be doing a video on ERP specifically for harm thoughts, and maybe one about acceptance and commitment therapy too, which is also very helpful for pure intrusive thoughts. So yeah, that's what harm/violent obsessions are, and that is my experience with them. Stick around on my channel if you want to know more about self-harm intrusive thoughts, which I will be talking about fairly soon. I'm not sure when, but eventually. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you're enjoying my Puro series so far. Like, this is only like the third video, but I hope you guys like it, and there will definitely be more in the future because there's so much to cover with Puro thoughts. It's ridiculous. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye!